Hi everyone, in today's speed build I am doing a Victorian style tiny home. I've been wanting to do a Victorian style build for a long time, but honestly I feel like a pretty hard task because other Victorian homes that I've seen built in The Sims 4 are pretty big, so I kind of saw it as pretty daunting, and I don't really have a lot of patience when it comes to building really big homes and things like that, so because it takes me hours upon hours to build houses, especially the bigger they are. So I knew for this house I wanted to keep it pretty small, and I thought it would be a kind of neat challenge if I tried to do a Victorian style home but tiny. and so you can see I kept it in the 100 tile range for the tier 3 small home, but that includes the porch. So the porch takes up the tiles in the build. So technically the inside living space is less than 100 tiles. But I knew for sure that it was going to be bigger than a tier 2 home because I feel like 64 tiles just isn't enough, especially to include a porch. And I really wanted to have that classic wraparound porch that Victorian homes usually have. So it was kind of hard, but I feel like it was pretty successful in trying to create that Victorian look, but in a smaller package. The lot size is smaller than usual. It's only a 20 by 20. I built this house in Windenburg, I believe, and it actually was originally a bar, I believe, that was located here. So it was a community lot, and I just bulldozed that and built this home there because I wanted a smaller lot and I didn't want to bulldoze any of the existing homes like the EA builds, because I do like to do renovations of EA builds, but I only like to do homes because I'm not that interested in doing community lots. It's just something I don't really care to do. So I just figured, because there's 2 different bar locations in Windenburg, and I figured one is enough. And so I wanted to so I just, the bar, I forget what it was called. I think I changed it before I started building, but yeah, the smaller bar in Windenburg, this is the lot that it was on. So I just bulldozed that. And for the exterior of the home, I was kind of going for a white and blue kind of color scheme, but I didn't necessarily mean to make the whole build that color scheme or anything like that. But for the interior of the home, you'll see I kind of carried the blue throughout in little parts, like mostly the living room, I think, and then there's some touches of blue in the dining room and the bathroom. But really I just wanted to make it look like a kind of older fashioned type interior, and and I took a huge risk because I was so focused on making the outside look Victorian while also using the maximum of the 100 tiles, but I didn't actually consider how I was going to make the floor plan work out once I actually went in and put the stairs and things like that. So originally where I wanted to put the stairs, it didn't fit, so I had to try to figure out a different way to place the stairs and still have room for like all the different rooms I wanted to include. And again, this is only a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom home. I kind of wanted to try to make it more than 1 bedroom, but I feel like the space just wasn't gonna work out like that. So, but at least there is 1 bedroom. It's not like a loft or anything like that. So at first I kind of thought about keeping the bedroom upstairs open, but then I close it kind of at the last minute before I started furnishing the bedroom. But of course I started on the kitchen first inside this home. I would say that the kitchen is probably the most different as far as the color scheme goes, because it's like orange and brown and white, and but again I just wanted to look kind of older fashioned, and and I feel like especially Victorian homes, they didn't really try to match everything exactly. It was just kind of like a lot of pattern wallpaper and just whatever. I knew I did want to use cream throughout the house though within the color scheme, so I did bring some of that into the kitchen. So I would say maybe downstairs there's a lot of like cream and light blue and dark browns, and and I did kind of keep that dark brown look throughout the home too. So I feel like the kitchen's not super different from the rest of the house, but just different enough. And I think it's actually probably one of my favorite rooms in the whole house. I didn't really like the way the layout of the living room was, but at the same time, I guess it kind of works with the door being so big. But I wanted to keep that door big. I wanted to use the 3-tile door because there was no room to put a window there, and the door is so big and it has all those glass panels that it kind of acts as a door and a window. So I just kept it that way. The dining room is pretty small, but I feel like it didn't really need to be big anyway because this house is really only furnished for one sim. So the fact that there's even a dining table that is big enough for 4 people, I feel like it was perfect, just to have enough space to have some friends over or something like that. And I kept the decorations pretty minimum, and I didn't want to over clutter the place because I didn't want it to look like it was messy or anything like that. I just wanted to look like it was obviously lived in and had maybe some family history to the house or something. And you'll see once I get to the landscaping and stuff. I mean, it might sound weird, but my favorite part of this entire lot is the backyard where I put the family grave or the family graveyard, because I feel like it just adds such a unique touch to the lot. And I even kind of made it look like that there was one fresh grave, but I mean, you'll see that a little bit later on. But yeah, that's my favorite part of this whole build, which, I mean, it might seem weird, but it's the first time I've ever done anything like that. And I feel like it turned out really well. So I was really proud of it. And you'll probably notice that I moved the lot a couple times. Like I moved the position of the house because while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the house, I was also considering where I was going to place everything outside. And I knew I wanted to create that family graveyard, and I knew I was going to put the laundry stuff outside because since it's an older fashioned home, I didn't want to put a washer and dryer inside there. I kind of wanted to make it have that old look. So I knew I wanted to put the clothesline and the wash tub outside, and I wanted to put the graveyard outside, but I didn't want the house to be super close to the front. And at the same time, since the back door is more of a side door, I didn't want to place the whole house in the center of the lot. So I moved the house to the right a little bit, and then I still ended up needing to make some space because when I was trying to put the fence around the perimeter of the home, I was too close to the right side of the lot, so I had to move the house again. And, I was just kind of going back and forth. But I really enjoyed doing this house, though, doing this build. And honestly, I do want to try to do a larger Victorian home sometime in the near future. But since this was my first time kind of trying to create a Victorian home, I decided just, to do something small. So it didn't take me too long because I probably would have been discouraged if it was taking me a really long time. And especially if I ended up not liking it. But since I did like how this turned out, I do want to try to create something else later, maybe even trying to do like a real life to Sims type of thing. I mean, I did look at reference photos when I was building this house, just to get a better idea of the style of the exterior that I wanted to do. However, I didn't look at any reference photos for the inside or anything like that. I was just kind of going based on things that I've seen in the past, because I do love Victorian era style homes and decor, and even the fashion style and things like that. And there was actually a time a couple years ago I was pretty obsessed with the Victorian era. I know it sounds weird, but I would look up documentaries on YouTube that were all about the Victorian era, how they lived, how they would clean their house, the kind of jobs that were popular, the trends of the time, the different products, and I don't know, it was just everything, their daily jobs, or even how the servants would live, middle class, lower class, everything. I just used to love to watch documentaries about the Victorian era. I learned so much, but honestly right now I can't even think about everything that I learned. There's a lot of stuff that I remember, but there were so many details that I think I've forgotten because it was 5 or 6 years ago that I learned all that stuff. And I would seriously I would just watch hours and hours of Victorian era documentaries. So that's why I really wanted to do a house that was in this style. But I think maybe next time I will look at more reference images, like for the inside, maybe to get more accurate furniture for that time period. But in general, I just kind of wanted to keep things, you know, to kind of look like they made sense. I was worried that it would take me a really long time to furnish this home, but once I had the floor plan kind of blocked out and knew where I wanted to put everything, it didn't take me long to do the inside at all. I would say that the longest it took me for this whole build was just getting the exterior done, you know, just to have it look like a Victorian home. And then of course the second longest was doing the landscaping. And I do really like how the landscaping turned out, actually, aside from, you know, my favorite part of the family graveyard. I did take a more structured route with the like bushes and the flowers and everything outside, because I kind of wanted to make it look as though, I mean, you know, because it's a family home and like for a single sim, I want to be like they actually take care of the house. You know, it's an older home, but they really love it and they wanted to make sure the yard stayed nice throughout the years, and just to kind of keep the curb appeal and everything like that, even though it's no longer, you know, the Victorian era or whatever. Like they just put so much care into the home because it's something that's been in the family for so many generations or whatever. So I do really like how the yard ended up looking, although I kind of wish that I had put more trees. But sometimes I don't really like to put a whole lot of trees because, you know, they get in the way when you're trying to take the screenshots, or I don't like it to look too crowded. And I also didn't want the trees to block the house when I was taking the screenshots. Of course, I probably could have deleted a tree or something so I could take screenshots and then replaced it. But at the same time, like I didn't want to go super overboard with the trees on this lot because I wanted the focus to be on the house. So I thought I should mention that I did not playtest this house because I didn't really think I placed anything in a weird way that might keep the Sims from accessing everything like normal. So if you do happen to download this lot and have any problems with it, I'm sorry, but I really tried to make sure that I didn't place anything in a weird position or over clutter things. Like I think I kept one countertop completely empty so that they could prepare the food on there easily. And I think the way I positioned the couches in the living room should be fine. I don't think it should block their walkway or anything coming in and out of the house. So yeah, so I didn't play test this house, but like I said, I think it should all work just fine. Of course, if you download and you have any problems, you could, if anything, they're probably really easy fixes. So, and the bedroom is pretty small. I was a little bit worried about the fact that the door is kind of in that little corner of the bedroom, but I mean, if they can enter into a small bathroom, I feel like it shouldn't be a problem with them getting to the bedroom like that. So that's actually part of the reason why this is only for a single sim. I mean, I guess you could put 2 sims in this house and maybe make them take turns sleeping in the bed or something, but I couldn't fit the double bed in the bedroom because the bedroom's so small. So of course it's only a single bed, or if you didn't want to keep this a tiny home, you could always adjust it to make it bigger for an additional sim. But yeah, for the purposes of this video, I wanted to keep it in the tier 3 small home category. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to see more videos from me. Feel free to leave any comments down below if you like to. And I believe the screenshots are coming up, so I will finish this up and see you guys in the next one. Bye!